Hi, my name is Kees and I'm here with another video and I help people from doing to being. And today I'm here with a video, there is no perfection in life. Life is the perfection. So oftentimes what are in our individual ways of looking at the world, so our separate ways of looking at the world, where we're thinking we're just a person in the skin that is just doing separate things, that is just separate in many ways, right? If we look at it from that perspective, from the perspective of Kees or this body or this person that we've created, then because my name is Kees, if you don't know, I said it at the beginning of the video, but you never know. Then we can have the idea of, wait a minute, my body is not perfect, my circumstances are not perfect, my the situations in the world are not perfect. If you look at this this whole George Floyd thing, for example, which is a terrible thing, and all the the racism which is still there. Then when you look at that from a perspective of what it actually is, then we can understand, okay, in the individual way, there's a lot of imperfection. In the individual sense, there's a lot of imperfection in life. There's a lot of imperfect is maybe an understatement, but the Buddha talked about imperfect circumstances, that life is imperfect and impermanent. So it's temporary and it's losing, in the end you're gonna lose the things that are good. And everything that is good is also, not as good as it can ever be. So it's sort of, we can always imagine a better reality and we can always move towards that. And that's the fun of this perspective, this dimension of Earth, this world, is really an imperfect world. And we can strive to make it perfect, or we can see it as it actually is. Because from the individual perspective and looking at the world, we think, the world's imperfect. We have to change it. We have to make it in a different way, do different things. And I'm not saying we need to stop changing, but I'm saying we can't stop changing. There's always change happening. And luckily, in some cases, of course, I hope that racism is totally gone and banned, Or, well, I'm not saying it should be sort of legally banned or something like that, but maybe it should. I don't know. I'm not a lawmaker, but I'd love for nobody to be racist and everybody to feel free for whatever they're going to do in the world, or whatever they feel like in the moment, except when it's hurting another person or another being. So I'd love for us to rise in consciousness and to not need to be able to, or not have to experience bad things. But bad things are also part of this dimension. It's also part of reality. And we can change the bad things, but always then other bad things will also happen. So again, not saying that we shouldn't change, because change is inevitable. We're always changing. And I see a lot of change for the better, and that's a great thing. But that's from an individual perspective. But know that it would never be totally perfect. There's always something which is there for us to change. And if we look at life from this individual perspective and look at our life, our planet, right? This is this grasping, this attachment, this separation which we create. From that space, there's always something to strive for. There's always something wrong, right? There's always something wrong. It's always imperfect. And this is not disheartening, but this is a challenge. This is a sort of continuing challenge, a really nice challenge to have as well. Right? From the individual perspective, it's actually, it can be a terrible thing, but we can also see it as a good thing. And when we see it as a good thing, we can, and especially from a non-dual reality, we can understand, hey, life is not this world. Life is not this experience. Life is the whole thing. Life is every experience. Life is every situation. Life is every circumstance. Life is everything. It's the whole thing, you know? And we're all part of it. We're all part of life. This individual perspective is part of life, but we're actually the whole thing. Everybody is the whole thing, right? But our perspective is that we're not the whole thing, which is not true. We're not the individuals, right? We're spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And actually, we're not even, let's say, spiritual beings. That's also a form. But above that, we're energy itself. We're God itself, we could say. And by knowing that, we can know that energy itself is perfect, or any other label. It's the best thing that can happen. And always the best thing that can happen is happening to us. But it's always happening to make us rise in consciousness. It's always happening to sort of expand our energy, expand the world. And we can only expand in any way if we, first of all, accept that there will be bad stuff to teach us lessons. And second of all, we don't need to strive for perfection. Life is already perfect. It's perfect. It's amazing. It's perfectly arranged for you to learn the lessons which are there for you, which are necessary for you. It's perfectly arranged for everybody in the world to learn their lessons. And sometimes that's collective lessons, as we're going through with the George Floyd thing. It's collective exposure from the unconscious behavior of racism, which is still happening. It's collective exposure which is there. And that collective exposure is great. And we need to understand that, take that in, understand, wait a minute, we've been acting in an unconscious way. And from there we move on. From there we will not make the same mistakes, hopefully. So this is a learning. And it's a relearning as well. You see, you know, all these, all the big lessons, equality, things like non-duality or spirituality, healthy food, etc., etc. These are lessons we need to learn over and 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 over again until we really get it, until it clicks. Right? The idea is that we change our reality with our perspective. It needs to come over and over and over and over until it says click in the face. Can't move around it anymore, you know. Stop this hide and seek game, but I'm just going to look at it. Okay, this is my pain. Poof, you know. I'm confronting myself with myself, finally. And that's a beautiful thing. That's an amazing thing. And life in that way is totally perfect. There's nothing more perfect than life itself. And also this simulation of through energy that we get through the five senses, where we perceive this whole world, and you watch this video, it's a perfect perception. It's a perfect creation. And we can do with it whatever we like, but life will give us lessons to expand and to move up in the world. And not move up in a sort of status way, but move it up in a way where we feel better. Mentally, physically, where we feel more at peace, we'll feel more connected. And we get those lessons. And we also get the lessons, what happens when we are not connected, when we're separate, when we're stuck in ideas of separation. We all get those lessons too. We all get our piece of shit in life. We get our shit experiences, and they help us. They help us tremendously to understand what actually works for us or what doesn't. How we should interpret the shit that happened to us. Right? And that's a beautiful thing to understand deeply after a while, after having multiple insights, or through spiritual awakening, or through lots of things, we can have this insight, wait a minute, life itself is perfect. But the situations or the circumstances will never be perfect for the mind. The mind can always, the rationalities can always find different things. Oh, I would have done, I would have liked, blah, blah. But probably that was not available to you at the time. You probably learned some lessons. Let's say you say, okay, I should have taken that job and wouldn't take it. I shouldn't have taken that job. You had two choices. You took the wrong one. Well, first of all, the universe allowed it, right? So it's been allowed. So it was meant for you in a way, and probably it's meant for you to learn the lessons to that is a wrong choice. That you, for example, made the choice not based on your heart, but you made the choice based on finances, or you made the choice based on relationships, or you made the choice based on something which your heart wasn't feeling, or based on something which your was as a spiritual being was not meant for you in this physical experience to learn you lessons, to teach you certain lessons. So maybe those lessons were not aligned for you at the moment, and that's totally okay. That's totally fine, because that is it wouldn't be perfect for you. If it would happen, it wouldn't be perfect for you, because you would probably regress. You would probably be more unconscious. You would probably be more safe, or sort of be more stuck in the parking spot of life. You'll be stuck parked somewhere. I talked about it with my client. He talked about some of his lawyer friends who wanted to do something different with their lives, but were not doing it. And I say, well, they're basically stuck on some parking spot, right? And they're not driving. They're not driving with their hearts, but they're stuck on a sort of safe spot. And it seems safe until someone knocks at the door and say, you can't park here. Come on, you need to move on, right? And that can happen sometimes with a burnout. It can happen with life hitting you in the face, with somebody dying. It can happen by being fired. It can happen because your partner leaves you or wants to move. It can happen because you get kids and you understand you can have it in many different ways. Things that are not meant for you, they will be, at some point, they'll be eliminated from your life. And especially with the sort of global rise in consciousness which we're seeing, this is inevitable for us. So with that said, I wanted you to understand, if possible, for you, and see if it's possible for you, or see if it can be an experience in your life. That you get the lessons from life, and that you can do that by accepting them. I have a whole video on that, but that acceptance of life and what it has given you, through that you see the perfection. And when you see the perfection, you understand that everything is perfect for you. Everything is totally perfect for you. But you didn't see life's perfections because you were expecting a sort of comfy, stimulating, perfect situation from an individual perspective. And that will maybe sometimes happen. And those are some nice moments. But, the soul wants to move on. Life wants you to move on. Life wants you to expand, wants you to go to new places, wants you to take a new experience on, wants you to expand. And the more you expand, the more it wants to expand as well. So the more you give it permission, the more it will expand, the more it will learn, the more it will accept. This is how I find myself here. But I'm still evolving, and let's evolve together. Thank you for watching. Bye.